Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilberts, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Table Talk. Welcome, Titan fans, Titan family, inside the Ames Library podcast studio. It is week 6 of Titan Table Talk already here as we move on with the fall of 2024. Just wrapped up a very exciting homecoming weekend as well as championship weekend for women's golf. So over the course of our show today, we'll talk women's volleyball, we'll talk women's golf, and we'll wrap things up with Coach Esch breaking down this weekend's football game. First and foremost, senior from Aurora, Abby Erdman, senior from Plainfield, Morgan Harrington, representing the women's volleyball team coming off. That was a tough week to be a Titan. I mean, only 2 top 15 wins inside the Shirk Center, won 6 out of 7 sets, had probably a total of 2,000 plus people in the building. I mean, we'll go back, I guess, first to the North Park match on Wednesday night. Top 15 ranked team that's 10-2 and had played a legit schedule coming in, had beaten us twice last year. And, I mean, I think we trailed 8-4 at the beginning of the first set, and then it really wasn't close the rest of the way. A little bit of surprise, maybe?
I think it did get us a little bit surprised, but at the same time, I think we were prepared going into that game, too.
Yeah, it felt like we were in control the entire time, which I think was really good, and I think we're all just such on the same page right now, and we're just ready to beat every team in conference, which I think really helped us going into that match. We started off slow, but it didn't feel like we were down.
No, I did not feel like it at all.
Yeah.
It was just we rode this high, and we just kept going. We always say, put the foot on the gas, and we did that through. So that was awesome, but.
Yeah, I mean, 25-17 in the first set really pulled away. I mean, the second set, out to a 13-5 lead. I think North Park had used both their timeouts in those first 18 points, ended up taking that one 25-10. Vikings held it a lot closer in the third set, but really kind of, 2-3 point lead a lot of the way for 25-21. Hit 288, held the Vikings to 0-45 on offense with the All-American outside hitter on their roster, too, and Adriana Rodriguez. So, who had her best set of the day, I would say, in the third set for sure. But what was your guys' plan defensively to kind of stop her?
I mean, we always try to prepare in practice and stuff like that, and really it was just knowing that you could, just because she had the title as All-American, just because she's a great player and great hitter, but we all had that mindset, we're going to dig her, we're going to block her. We can do that because we know that our capabilities are different than hers. So, we knew kind of how to get around her with that stuff.
Yeah, I think we also knew to just focus on our side. That's kind of our big goal this season, is to control what we can control, do our job, and then everything else is going to follow after that. But I think also when we started getting the huge blocks on her, that just changes the game entirely. And I know Morgan had some big ones. A lot of people had some big ones, which really helped shift the momentum, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even when you're not putting a block away, there were a lot of times you're able to get hands up at least and give the back line a little bit more to work with.
Yeah,
definitely.
When you look at that back line, you've got Taylor and Alex, who were double digits, and Diggs along with 14 and 9 kills. You've got Cannon, who had 20 digs from libero position back there. But, trying to replace what Faith has done the last couple of years in the back row is not an easy thing to do. Right. It's nice when you've got some hitters back there who are really good defensive players, too.
Yeah.
For sure. No, Faith we saw her this weekend. She was amazing. We always, we miss her and stuff like that, but I think we're very confident in who we have right now, too. That they show a lot of grit and a lot of urgency and, wanting to get all of these balls up. So, as a hitter, I mean, I even think Abby, she's behind me digging balls that are going over my block, and then our liberos, I trust them. And even French and Alex to get those balls up, too.
Yeah, they've done a great job coming in. And with Cannon being a transfer, too, she's earned our trust so fast. She brings so much to the court, so much energy, which is definitely something our team needs. We just need that one screamer, I feel like. I feel like it was Lily last year for the last few years, and then she graduated, and now I think Cannon's done a great job filling the shoes. So.
Yeah, and able to spread out the offensive attack a little bit, too. And we've talked with Kim about, Alex taking some of the pressure off Taylor there, but just the depth of the hitter group is phenomenal. Morgan, 5 kills. Kaylin, 6 kills. Hannah had 7. And out of U3, Kaylin had the lowest hitting percentage at 294.
Yeah.
Which is, 294, 417, 538. That's where
Yeah,
you
that's
talk about
crazy.
your middles, your right
Yeah.
side. Like, that's eye-popping to look at that. And it shows when you watch the match.
Yeah.
And that's how you're able to, even in a set where North Park's playing well,
Yeah.
able to maintain that 2-3 point advantage where there's just, not a lot of hitting errors out there, and setters are putting the ball in place
Yeah.
where you can actually take your A swing.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big
we're-
strength for that is like our setters have done a really good job distributing the ball evenly, not just making it an outside game, but getting the middles in the offense, getting the right sides in, running our cross plays.
Yeah, distribution's been a huge thing this season, and the coaches keep talking to us about that. And I think that's where we're surprising teams right now, is they don't really know who it's going to, which has helped so much in the past 4 conference games.
Yeah, and when kind of skipping ahead to the Milliken match a little bit, and we'll go back and recap that one in full for a second. But Kaylin Shannon, once again in particular, had 7 kills, along with Hannah, who had 7 kills. But a couple of Kaylin's in particular, in really big moments going cross court.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
The ones where they trickle over the net.
Yep.
It's awesome.
I think there were 2 of those.
We
one
get a
one
couple
going
of
away
those,
from me,
yeah.
one going
Yeah.
toward me. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like watching the same play where it just kind of rolled along
I
the
know.
top and then fill in about 1.5 foot in bounds. And
Yep, that's the moment where you just like stop breathing for a second, it lands, and you're like, yes, I meant to do that.
Always fun. But, yeah, in that Milliken match on Friday night, a 3-1 victory, 25-23, 25-20, 22-25, and then 25-23. I think, you're hoping that was going to be close the whole way and hoping that the crowd of, was it listed at 1,600? I don't know. It was something like that. But I was looking around and I was like, I can't come close to counting the number of people in here,
That
so we'll
was
let Katie
awesome.
and her crew do it. But how exciting was it to walk into that gym for, 7 o'clock first serve and see that?
Yeah, it was electric. Like you feed off of that energy, and I think we all do a really good job of focusing on our court. But it's like when you hear the crowd, you get after a really big dig or a kill or a point or whatever, it's just like they're cheering for us, and it's something about that just like makes you want to go.
Yeah, it was already exciting because they're kind of our biggest rival. They have been for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
And then walking in and seeing all those people there for that game too just like helped amplify everything. And it was just so fun to play in. Like you just hear the crowd going wild, and it just really helps keep the momentum on our side too. And like usually Milliken has a lot of fans too, and they did this time, but they were quiet. Like they didn't have much to say, which was great.
Yeah, right. They didn't really. Yeah.
They had, a 15-11 lead in the first set, and then we came back to tie it at 21, won it from there by 2. But then, they did tie the second set at 16, but that was a huge Titan lead for the most part there. And even in the third set, the one we lost, that was a 13-5 advantage for us at one point before they rallied and came back.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like when you have someone at 2 arms length at one point, you're going to be able to quiet the sand. There were several hundred
Very true.
fans in blue in there for sure behind me and sitting over in the east corner of the arena. But again, aside from their comeback in the third set, able to keep them quiet for the most part, and
Pretty
that
much,
does help. Honestly, what I thought was impressive was it was to some degree that third set. Like they had a huge I forget exactly what the run was, if it was 15-4 or something along those lines to put a comeback together, but. You're talking about that's a really good team. That's a team that was 18-2 and had played a tough schedule coming in. Like it's not 18 cupcake wins. You knew there was going to be a rally in there at some point, and the way it felt like they had really grabbed some of the momentum back after the third set, and you guys came out and just took control once again in the fourth set. What was the talk in the huddle after that third set?
It was almost like they pushed us, and we have to push back. Kim's always saying that to us, but as a team, like we talked before the coaches get in there, we're like, we want this. We want to beat Milliken just in general, but imagine doing this in front of all these fans. It was just that drive of really wanting to push through and show out what we can do.
It was honestly a really calm timeout or huddle after we had lost that third set. Like, I don't think anybody was super worried. It still felt like we had a lot of the control, which is good. I know I mentioned that before, but, like, that's just kind of been big in these conference games is just having the control on our side. And so I don't think anybody was really too worried about going into the fourth set. Like, we should have definitely won that third set. That would have been awesome to sweep them. But that's also something we're still learning as a team this year is, like, being able to finish, starting strong and finishing strong. Like, we've worked on that a lot in practice, and so I think that was kind of a little life lesson right there to not give up a lead that big. But it worked out in the end, so it's okay.
Yes, it did. We got to watch one more set of really high-quality volleyball in front of 1,500-plus people. So, there's upside to everything, I guess.
Exactly.
Keep the fans on their seat.
Exactly.
We don't want it to be too boring.
Exactly. It couldn't be too easy.
Won't be boring this week either, that's for sure. Another big CCW match on Wednesday. Carthage, the other currently undefeated conference squad, rolls into town. A 7 p.m. start for that one. And then heading up to Elmhurst on Fall Break Day on Friday to face Wartburg at 2 p.m., River Falls at 4:30 p.m. Before we go, as seniors now, just a couple months from graduation, if you look back so far, your first 3+ years, whether it's volleyball, whether it's something off the court, any one or two favorite memories so far from your 3+ years that stand out?
Honestly, this past week has added to that list. But I guess one that I always go back to is honestly our freshman year when we came out and beat Carthage. Was it Carthage and Milliken in that last week to win conference? That was awesome because we know what that win feels like. So it's like I think we're just chasing that too. But those wins are always awesome. I think this past week has just topped it all.
Yeah, I think winning CCIW freshman year and going to the NCAA tournament was awesome. That definitely stands out to me. And I think overall, just the relationships, I don't think people understand how close our team really is. But even when we're not on the court, we're probably hanging out together off the court, which is just awesome. And I think that's something that elevates our program so much is just the relationships that we have off the court. Coming in freshman year and automatically having 22 best friends, there's really nothing else like it, and I think it's just a huge advantage to our team.
Yeah, it does, and you can tell, it comes through.
Yeah.
Good or bad in how you play, for sure, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to catch the Titans at home, one more big CCW match this week, as we said, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. against the Firebirds before a brief road trip up to Elmhurst and Fall Break weekend coming up next weekend. Congratulations on a phenomenal week. Good luck this Wednesday and Friday. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Super exciting.
They say inside every challenge is an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you have the power to seize that opportunity. Discover the tools, the mentors, and the experiences to take on any challenge and shape not just who you are, but who you will become. The best college in Illinois for jobs is right here. Tap or click now to start your free application and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
And welcome back. We're going to throw you a little bit of a curveball right now, and instead of talking women's golf, who had a monster victory at the CCW Championship this weekend, we're going to talk some men's soccer with Logan Tierney and Logan Shoemaker. Pretty spectacular victory of your own on Saturday for homecoming, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'd say it was eventful, to say the least.
I remember I checked the live stats maybe, a little after 10, 15 minutes after halftime. It was 3-0. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And then I was up in the press box talking to Katie toward the end of the football game, and I pulled it up again. I was like, what, 5-4? Yeah. So for those who were not there, 5-4 victory over Carthage in a rematch of last year's CCW championship game. Basically trailed 3-0, 4 goals in a 10 or 11 minute span. Then Carthage came back and scored one off a free kick to tie it. And then Moosh Bakardon put one in the back of a net off a free kick in the 84th or 85th minute. Tell us a little bit about that game from your perspective on the field.
I think none of us could believe what was happening. I mean, after the first goal, we had so much momentum, and then we got the second. And I think at that point, honestly, when we had 2 goals, we kind of knew we were going to win that game. I mean, everything was going our way. Everything was going in the back of the net. And, I mean, the fans were going crazy. It was such a fun experience.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, it was one of the most fun games I've definitely ever played in. Surreal, and it was really cool because it was homecoming. We haven't played at home, I think, in 6 years for homecoming, so we're always away. So this was definitely a little different this year, finally getting to be at home and kind of get that atmosphere, and a bunch of alumni being back from last year that were there against Carthage in the final last year. So it was kind of bringing those same guys back, and they're on the sideline, they're cheering us on, and like it was like this just felt like last year.
Yeah, it felt like last year in so many ways. The high drama comeback against Carthage. Obviously, your class that's going to have the highest percentage of people coming back is always last year's class. You're joined by them, and then there was the recognition of the teams from the 1990s as well. It was more focused on the start of the women's team, but a lot of those men's players who played under Tony Bankston were back this weekend too. Just a really fun atmosphere and a really fun crowd out there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you just look at this, 63-04, Moosh on the goal, assisted by you. 68-51, Joey on the PK. 73-40, Ben. 74-06, 26 seconds later, Ryder. And then once Carthage had tied it up, walk us through exactly what happened on Moosh's game-winning goal there in the 85th minute, because that was a little different.
I'll start, so we conceded that free kick, and after that, after we scored the fourth, I thought, all right, we're winning this, we're not conceding. So when they score, you're kind of like, oh, shoot, they're back in this, this is anyone's game. They kind of took some of the momentum back, and, the fans were like, oh, I don't know, which way could this go? And so definitely a bit eerie. Were you on the field when Moosh scored, or were you still?
Yeah, I got fouled.
Yeah. So, you go ahead and talk about it.
I mean, I just know after the fourth goal, when they scored, it just felt like we got brought back to reality. I was like, okay, maybe, they can score too, And then I was on the field, and they passed me the ball, and I got fouled. And then, I was getting up still from the free kick, walking over. I had my back turned, and I look over, and the ball goes in the net. And I'm like, what just happened? Is he even allowed to do that? What just happened? And then everyone starts running over. I'm like, oh my God, we just scored, and we're about to win the game. It didn't even feel real.
I think a lot of people had the same reaction. Carthage defenders the same, because the ref didn't blow his whistle, but Moosh had asked the ref, hey, can I kick this? Because I didn't ask for 10, and that's a rule in soccer that as long as the ref is good with the distance of the defenders from around the ball, you can restart whenever you want. And so Moosh asked him that. He shrugged his shoulders and put it in the back of the net, and it was crazy. The thing is that Moosh had hit 2 free kicks in practice before that, so I was like, honestly, if Moosh had to take the free kick, I trusted him to make it. So I was on the bench, and I was just like, he's going to score this. We're going to score. We're going to score here. And
we knew it was coming.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. I don't know. So it was awesome.
Yeah. And it's been a little bit of a theme, not just at the end of last year, but coming into this year as well. The late game comebacks was the same thing against Wabash one Saturday before homecoming. Really, it gave me a little bit of the vibes of the Kalamazoo game to open the year, where conceded a fairly early goal. I think it was maybe a 12th minute goal, if memory serves, against Wabash. Yeah, 12th or 13th minute goal out at Wabash, and then they pretty much led the whole way. The Little Giants were up 1-0, and then 77th minute game-tying goal there. It feels like very much the atmosphere on the sideline is we're going to win and we're not out of it.
We're never out.
Always.
I feel like last year kind of instilled that in us. We're just not going to give up. It's a bunch of Coach says it too. Our biggest thing is our togetherness. In my 4 years here, these last 2 teams especially have been the closest teams I've ever been a part of. We stress going to places together, making sure we're having meals together, doing all that. And there's not a freshman to a senior who can't feel like they can't talk to each other. It's everyone's just friends on this team, and that's something that you can definitely see on the field.
I'd say to build off that, I think it comes down to in the second half, we always just run through teams because every single guy on our team comes in completely fit and ready to play. We can play 2 deep in every position on the field because every guy is so ready to play. So I think what happens in the second half is because we have that depth, we can just keep putting in new, fresh legs who are just ready to just steamroll the other team. And by the end of the game, we press so hard and we play so hard that the other team's just completely worn out, and it just ends up happening that we always come back in every game, and we're always still in the game because we have these guys that can just come in and keep playing. And so that's what I think it comes down to, really.
It's on the scouting report every time. All gas, no brakes. They can't handle how fast we play. So Coach likes to stress that.
Yeah, because once or twice is a coincidence and it happens, but it's pattern. It's
Yeah.
pattern for a reason.
Yeah.
And I remember Kyle saying that back in, I don't know if it was the first or second week that we had him on the show, or maybe just talking to him in the office, I don't know, but talking about how impressed he was with the fitness of everybody coming into camp in the middle of August.
Yeah.
And then the depth only magnifies that, because when you're already have everybody in great shape in the early part of the season, and then you can just keep throwing fresh legs in there, I mean, it's an overwhelming advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think back as, junior and senior sitting here now, and I realize the easy answer, that may be the only answer, is the run at the end of last season. But any particular favorite memories that stand out from your time as Titans so far, on or off the field or otherwise?
I mean, it always goes back to that run, just because it's such a crazy experience being like the 6th seed. But honestly, I'll go to our home game that was against North Park last year. I think that was a huge win for us that kind of instilled that belief that we can hang with anyone when we, because that was one of our first comebacks. We were down 2-0. We had about, I think, 25 minutes left, and we got a PK. Brody Seaton stepped up and scored it after we had just missed it, actually, and they got a retake because the keeper came off his line early. And so Brody scored that, and then we went right back down. Fahim scored immediately after, and then we scored another one with, I think 2 minutes left, and that just game, always sits in my memory. It felt exactly kind of like the Carthage game this past weekend. It was just, guys are going to step up. We're going to keep going. We're not going to give up.
I mean, I think for me personally, that run was amazing last year, but some of my favorite memories on the team are definitely the bus ride this year. Back home from Kalamazoo, I mean, we tied, and it's still, we celebrated that so much, and we were doing karaoke the whole way back on the bus, and even the coaches got involved and they were dancing with us, and so those are just super fun times, and those are my favorite times on the team personally.
I think Will McNulty and I spent several minutes talking bus rides and everything too as well, and had a lot to celebrate on some of those bus rides recently too, going back to both this year and last year for sure. A couple big CCW games coming up this week. Wednesday up at Wheaton, Saturday up at North Park. You get to be bus riders, road warriors again. Good luck to you both this week. Good luck to the Titans. Bring home another couple W's, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gator with the right side, the cutter to Hardy for the throwdown. A senior day to remember for Grant Hardy with an impressive flush. The 2-2 pitch, called strike 3. A breaking ball down the middle, freezes the batter bends, and Jake Pullum sprints off the mound. This one swung on into the outfield. That's going far, and it is gone. Bailey Turner walks it off for the Titans. 5 seconds. Sawyer White, the bank is open!
Welcome back. We are joined by Titan football head coach Norm Esch here on week 6 of Titan Table Talk. Coach Esch, really exciting homecoming game, held very, very tight with a good Wash U team after trailing by 25. Nearly pulled off the comeback victory. Fell a little short in the end, but any opening thoughts on the game Saturday?
Well, it was a game of two halves, no doubt about it. Great environment, great crowd. I mean, our players were excited to play this game, and we were playing against a good team, and they had one loss in the league, and we were undefeated, so we had a lot to play for. I mean, with the homecoming crowd, alumni, fans, and staying in the win column. And the first half, we just didn't play as well as we did the second half. I mean, we came out the second half and got back in the ball game, but the first half was this. Offensively, we had three drives and out. I mean, it was 11-play drive, 7-play drive, 3-play drive, and didn't get any points out of those drives. Put our defense out in the field. They put some points up on us, got ahead of us. Missed a field goal right after field goal. They broke off a long run. So just just things that really hurt us the first half and not managing the game, I guess. But at halftime, we kind of righted the ship a little bit, came out and got back in the ball game. Some key plays, Jahari Scott's kickoff return got us back in there, and then we blocked the extra point, and Frank Rowley returned that for 2 points, and felt really pretty good at the end of the third quarter, being the fourth quarter, and again, we left some points out there. I was talking to our players. The score is 33-23, and I think there's two drives at the very end that we didn't get any points out of. And if we score on those, that's 14 points, figure it out. I mean, it's 37-33. So, disappointing loss. I mean, it really was. They're a good team. Not the best team always wins, but the team that plays best, they won the first half, put some points up, and we lost the second half, or won the second half.
Yeah, and it really was, there are a few plays that really swung the momentum towards WashU. When you talk about that, the 1.5 minute segment between the missed field goal and then the 80-yard run. But then the special teams make a lot of plays to kind of swing that momentum back to the Titans side, as we talked about. Had Frank on a week ago in here and returns at 97, whatever it was, yards. I didn't see exactly where the block was. I was sitting right outside the gate. Matt had the block, Frank with the return for the 2 points there and make it 20-2. And then, of course, Jahari's kickoff return right afterwards, and then forcing the fumble a couple minutes after that on the kickoff to give the offense a short field. I think maybe a 28-yard touchdown drive or something after that. A huge day by the special teams overall to keep the Titans in the game.
Yeah, the other thing that jumps out at you is we had 6 drop balls. I mean, and there's different players. It wasn't just one player, but all those passes at that time that we dropped those balls were key times in the ball game. And when you play a good team, you need to control the momentum, and we just never did that the first half. I thought we were getting it back the second half, but when we got it back the second half, it was twice that we turned the ball over. We had a drop ball, a crucial drop ball, on a fourth down play in the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, and then we didn't pass protect. We actually pass protected pretty well all day and gave up 2 sacks, but one was a forced fumble and gave the ball back to him. So those are things that are really disappointing because we did the things we needed to do to get back in the ball game and playing really well. I thought the defense came out the second half and shut them down. I mean. But the damage was done in the first half. We had to get more points than they did the first half, and we just left some points out there.
Yeah, and when you're talking about defensively against a team that can still put up some points, it felt like the Bears were struggling to move the ball at all in the second half against the defensive front. When you look at the box score and you see no sacks, and then when you look at how many times we had 2-3 defensive linebackers in the backfield half a second after the snap. It's kind of a funny comparison, but a couple of big tackles for loss on run plays as WashU was trying to run down the clock in that last 10 minutes of the game, just kept pushing them back, giving us a chance field position-wise.
Well, I felt that they sensed that we were coming back on them, and they wanted to take as much time off the clock as they could, and they tried to run the ball, and we were ready for that and shut that down. They rushed for 230 yards, but I think most of those yards, 127, was on 2 long runs. But that was our downfall. You can't give up big plays like we did the first half to get those points on the board, and then we have to, overcome that. So, yeah, the big question is why don't we play the first half like we did the second half? That's what I'd like to know as a coach, and maybe our players can answer that. I don't know, but we played a lot better. Very proud of how our players came back and fought, and they wanted to win just as bad as anybody else. But there's no moral victories. I mean, a loss is a loss, and we need to do a better job of making plays when we need to and managing the game to win those games against really quality opponents. And we got one coming up this week against Wheaton.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those, keys, especially when you're playing a team that no matter how well the defense plays, they're going to put some points up. You know that about Wheaton. You know that about North Central, certainly. WashU, certainly many years falls in that same group. As you need your offensive playmakers to make some big plays, too. And Miles Key, just a huge day on Saturday. 12 catches for 147 and a touchdown. No surprise there.
No, I
but-
mean, he was all-conference performer for us last year, so we expect that from him this year, and he wants to do that. I think he felt a little underused maybe the last 2 ball games, but we were rushing the ball pretty well and we were winning, so it's hard, but we threw the ball much better against WashU, and he was a big part of that, and once he gets the ball, he makes plays, and so we need to continue doing that in the future. I'm sure he'll say the same thing. But again, we're doing our best to try to win the game, and so we have to do what we have to do to win the games. And
Yep.
if we run the ball, that's good. If we throw the ball, that's good too. So.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on just, aside from the game, homecoming weekend, getting to see so many alums, former players, and everything back on campus?
Well, I thought it was one of the best environments I've ever seen at homecoming, and I've been around a lot of homecomings. It was just a perfect day. The weather was good. I mean, it was a perfect setting, and I'm happy everybody had a good time. But it's hard to enjoy homecoming when you lose.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't do much. I mean, I went home and was by myself and didn't get to see my friends or anybody just because I don't want people saying things, well, Coach Ish, you should be proud of your kids, and they came back, but a loss is a loss, and we got to do better, and we got to make the plays when we need to.
Well, we'll be chatting with a couple of your players in just a couple minutes here, and we'll wrap things up a little bit down the line here with women's golf. But good luck this weekend up at Wheaton, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Behind every Wesleyan success story is a community, one made of alumni and friends devoted to creating opportunities for the next generation of Titans. When you support the Wesleyan Fund, you make a difference. Join us in providing a first-class education, a rewarding campus experience, and a lifetime of opportunities. I'm Norm Ish, a graduate Illinois Wesleyan and the head football coach for the past 35 years. Join me in supporting the Wesleyan Fund.
Welcome back. We're now joined by 2 Titan football seniors, defensive lineman Zach McNeese from Hillsborough, Missouri, and wide receiver Miles Key from St. Louis, both first-team All-CCW picks last year. Give me your thoughts just on the homecoming game. First of all, we'll start with Zach on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, as we talked about with Coach Esch, a little bit of a rough first half and overwhelmingly excellent second half defensively, I would say. What were some of the adjustments you guys made at halftime against the Bears?
Honestly, I think a lot of the adjustments we made were more just mental. I don't think it was really anything a coach drew up or anything. I think it's just what we decided to do as a defense. Just a little bit of mentality flip. We wanted to kind of prove that we were a lot better than what we showed in the first half, I think. It really sucks whenever it comes down to communication issues and just little kind of stupid mistakes that put you down in a rut in the first half. So I think we just came out fired up, and we still knew that we had a chance to win that game. So we just really suited up and put our head down and got to work.
Yeah, as when you look at, like we were talking about, when you look at the box score and you see 220-plus rushing yards for the Bears, and then you watch the game and you're like, that's really not what it looked like. It was, again, the big 80-yard chunk. There was another big run that they had, but you take that out and you're looking at an offense that averaged under 3 yards a carry against your defensive front if you take out those 2 big plays. But you can't do that in the end, but it is that sign that when you're playing together, you're on the same page, and you don't miss an assignment there. Like there's something there defensively for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It just sucks when it comes down to mental mistakes. And if you want to beat a team like WashU, you can't be giving up big plays like that. 80-yard touchdowns are unacceptable. And it was really just a big momentum thing. I think it was like domino effect when one thing fell, whether that was from offense or was from defense. It just kept on trickling down. So it was a momentum roller coaster that entire game, and we just didn't capitalize off the momentum that we got.
Yeah. And on the other side of things, when you're trailing early and trying very nearly successfully to make a comeback, a lot of that is going to fall on Dermott's right arm. Mm-hmm. And on an extremely talented wide receivers room, as we've talked about several times this year already with Coach. But big game for you, Miles. Obviously, you don't like to sit here and talk about individual stats after a loss. It really doesn't matter that much in the end. But 12 catches, 147 yards. The score, obviously, toward the end of the first half, I believe, with like 2 minutes to go, speaks for itself. And I know you wanted a ball in your hands probably a little bit more after 2 games where you had a lead and were able to run a lot more. What was your thoughts on Saturdays overall?
I mean, like you said, it's always nice having those stats, but at the end of the day, the win is all that matters. I think after watching film, like, my game looked really good on paper, but I missed a lot of things, like the little things. My blocking was absolutely atrocious, which is something I pride myself on. And so just locking back in, focusing back on the little things, the little fundamentals of football, and just getting ready for Wheaton is my next goal.
Yeah. When you look at this team that in particular probably has more, juniors and seniors who are like third-year starters than typical because of how young we were a couple years ago. It's something we've hit on with Coach from time to time. But, even with Dermott only being a sophomore, like, you've actually had a lot of chances to work with him now, both in game and practice settings over the last year and a half. When you look at that offensive unit as a whole, obviously a couple of big graduations last year in the pass catching room, and then Seth as a running back. But how do you feel that unit has gelled together so far with some new pieces, but a lot of returners as well?
I mean, on the returner side, I think we have a lot of experience. I mean, like you said, I know a lot of us are 3-year starters on that side, and we kind of just try to take the younger guys under our wing and just like teach them all that we've seen. Because I know for me, being a starter for the past 3 years, I've seen so many things that I can either share with like Dermott or Dacey, who's also on the come up on the wide receiver side. So just trying to be a mentor to that younger guys.
And he had one of the better catches I've seen in a while on Saturday over on the visitor sideline there, and a ball that Dermott put in a spot where only he could catch it, and I thought it'd be 3 feet over his head. But
yeah, I love watching Dacey play. He's the type of receiver who's going to make a very entertaining catch. Like, I've seen him make some crazy catches in practice. I mean, whenever we need a big play, we know we can throw it up to Dacey for a nice little catch.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. So as you look ahead to this Saturday and starting to prepare for Wheaton, always a tough matchup, and the past couple decades in the CCW certainly always has been, but particularly these last 5 or so years, often a top 10 or close to it ranked team nationally. Obviously, you kind of throw all that out when you're looking at a matchup this weekend and you're just looking at, okay, how do we stop them best? Have you guys started to think about that, watch much film at all? I realize Monday is generally the off day and you get back to it tomorrow, but...
Well, coaches aren't allowed to touch us on Monday, which is it's bittersweet. We want to get back to work for sure, but we could also use the rest. I've watched a little bit of Wheaton film, not too much. We will throughout the week, throughout practice. But I'm excited for the opportunity to face a nationally ranked team. I still believe in the Titans 100%. That if Wheaton doesn't take us seriously, we're going to come in there and take it from them. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's on the one hand, you always want to come away with a W on homecoming. On the other hand, that's a tough team that you just played. And that, I think, if you're watching it from the stands, a little eye-opening to go, okay, that's one turnover, one missed tackle on an 80-yard run away from being a pretty big Titan victory. And you don't want to sit here and talk about, we can take this and that positive away from that, but you can, I think, from watching that game. Like, that was a real competitive game against a tough opponent, and a little confidence boost, if nothing else, going into next weekend.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to have too much of a moral victory because we care about real victories, honestly. But, there's good things to take away and bad things to take away from every opportunity. So we just got to keep on moving forward, and we'll give Wheaton a tough showing.
Yeah. So as we look back now, seniors sitting here having done this for quite some time, whether it's on the field, off the field, any particular favorite memories, favorite stories, things like that as you look back on your first 3+ years as Titans?
For sure one of my favorite memories is the homecoming game sophomore year. Come back win against Carroll, a lot of fun. I had a good game. We had a good game all around besides the first half. So hopefully, we just got to come out better first half. Like, we know that's been our problem, and once we start putting these full games together, we're going to be a scary team to play.
Yeah, talking about favorite memories, that's one that comes to my mind too, is that comeback win sophomore year against Carroll. But I think, honestly, just some of the best memories I've had is just going out to eat with the fellas, 4 games, and just the camaraderie of practice and everything. It's something I'm slowly starting to realize my senior year. Those memories are about to go away, so just trying to soak them up one by one, Just try to have fun every day at practice and look forward to the camaraderie with my teammates.
Yeah. Just getting to see each other 7 days a week as opposed to at weddings and homecomings and whenever you can get the, D-line or whatever together for a weekend somewhere. Yeah. And those start to get fewer and far between, for sure, after this. So good luck, gentlemen. Good luck this weekend up at Wheaton. Catch all the links for the live stats and live stream at iwsports.com. Go get them, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
I think it was one of my first few classes I realized, I like this. And then I was like, I got some tests back and I did well on them, and I was like, I'm good at this. I went from high school 10 years ago, almost flunking out, almost dropping out, to being on the dean's list. If I have the support that I need, I can accomplish things and do things that I was never expecting to be able to do. I think so fondly of my experience here so far.
Welcome back. Our final guests of the day on a jam-packed edition of Titan Table Talk, senior Kylie Hunman and freshman Gigi Zara from women's golf, coming off a very exciting, if not terribly dramatic, on the team end of things, CCW Golf Championship at Metamora Fields this weekend. Everybody else is on campus celebrating homecoming, and there's a lot of sitting around looking at golf stat and live results from Metamora Fields half an hour down the road. Congratulations, first of all, on a great tournament, both individually and as a team. How do we feel? General thoughts, first of all, on the weekend?
It was super fun. It was a lot of fun to be able to experience something like that for the first time for me, and being with my team and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great weekend. I mean, we knew it was going to go well. I mean, we had some goals to set because last year we won by 53 strokes. So we were saying things like 100, but no, we were just trying to beat that. And it was a great weekend, really good atmosphere. Our team really makes it a lot of fun, so it was good.
Yeah. Ended up being a 65-stroke margin in the end. Just squeaked in under the 900 mark, 899. Elmhurst, the runner-up at 964. Really important, really exciting. All 6 players finishing in the top 10 to earn all CCW honors, the only school with multiple all-conference selections. To run down the quick results for those who may not have seen them out there yet, Macy Ludwig, the individual medalist, tied her own 54-hole school record. That was from earlier this year at Redbird, is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
So. Yes, that's correct.
I think so, and the lowest score in conference championship history for Macy as well. Gigi placing 3rd, Jaden 4th with that spectacular 69 in round 2.
Yes,
that's a big one to put up to extend that team lead too.
Yes.
Nora 6th, Kylie tied for 7th, Jackie tied for 9th. Everybody once again in the top 10. And when you look at this year, I think it would be easy for maybe some to say from the outside we lost 2 All-American level golfers last year in Lexi and Emma. And all of a sudden you look at the depth and the quality of players that's still there and the amount of competition that there was this year for spots in the lineup after it's kind of really been the same 5 most of the time for the last 3 years.
Right.
Very different team dynamic and team atmosphere. And what's that been like for you to see now as a senior after 3 years of the same?
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes me so proud for my team. I mean, everyone on the team is so good. Like, our team is so deep. And I don't have a doubt that anyone, after I graduate, will be just an amazing player. And I'm so thankful to be a part of that team. And I like the competitive. I was just talking, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was saying that when I play with people in tournaments that aren't, aren't doing as well as I am, it doesn't challenge me. So it's nice to have these teammates that we're all so good that it challenges us to do better. Like, I don't have a doubt that anyone on our team, Jaden was the one that shot the 69 this weekend, but I don't have a doubt that anyone could do that. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And when you look at, coming out of high school at Loyola, first few months getting to play collegiate golf on a team that is, truly really prides himself on that family atmosphere, but also there's a lot of competition for those spots in the lineup too. Initial thoughts on your experience in these first few months and getting to qualify and play in the CCW championship for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I've just had a lot of practice with qualifiers and I don't know, just getting a feel for everything. It's a big adjustment, but I feel like looking up to the seniors, they've been great role models and inspiration. So looking up to them and following in their footsteps has been pretty helpful and something that I can count on. And yeah, they just help make the process somewhat easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great so far, and I'm just excited for what's next.
Yeah, certainly. When you look at this weekend as a whole, I think unless you're out there, you really see scores pop up online, and that's about it. Metamora Field's a course that can play very differently depending on the weather. A little bit out in the middle of nowhere, a links course, there's trees, but there's not
a ton.
Not a ton. So the wind in particular can play a big factor out there.
Yeah.
I know it was a little different day to day this weekend, but how did it play for you guys overall this weekend?
It was, I have some history with Metamora. I've always loved that course. I played it a lot in high school. I'm pretty sure in high school I had my personal best there. So I really liked the course. However, there have been times where I've played it and it's wow, this is a lot harder than it was when I played it last year. So typically it's just the wind can get crazy out there because there's no trees to block the wind. So on Saturday, I think that was probably the windiest day, and it was just I didn't have a great front nine, but I was looking back on it after, and I was you know what? I didn't even play bad. It was just the wind. The wind just really, really can affect your game, and then it's just, it was a great day, sunny. I mean, most of the days were really pretty except for the rain we had on Friday, but other than that, it was great. Just the wind. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough to stay into it. It's
For sure.
I don't even know what to do. Some of the shots I was just all right, we'll see where this goes, but
You just have to guess.
yeah, you just have to guess. Yeah. I mean, there were some shots where it's it's a 150-yard par 3 and it's playing I feel 190 yards.
Yeah.
It's what do you even do?
Yeah.
You just
You can't
gotta
do
go
much.
with it. Right, exactly, yeah.
If you get to the point where you're pulling your driver out on a par 3,
I know.
something's going
I know.
wrong.
I was joking with my people I was playing with. I was well, guess the driver's gonna have to come out because it's not gonna get there. So, yeah.
Yeah, there was a day sometime this spring I was over at Ironwood, and I think it was the first or second time out, and the last hole just was fun because it had gone from probably about a 15 or 20 mile an hour to maybe 40 mile an hour wind, and on the 18th. It was 150, 155 out in the fairway. And I said, I'm gonna hit my 7-iron, which is my 155 club, just to see what happens. I knew it wasn't gonna get there, but I wanted to see. And I hit it well. And I was 50 yards away from it. And it's just
That's
those,
crazy.
when you have a day like that on Saturday at a
I
conference
know.
championship,
Mm-hmm.
it really, you got to be able to almost take that out of your mind a little bit and just know everybody's playing in the same conditions.
exactly.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's not like I'm the only one who has to deal with this. So even if the score is 4 or 5 strokes higher than you would like it to be, well, okay,
Yeah.
that might
Yeah.
actually hold up pretty well for that day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say though, the only difference with being able to play with everyone in the same conditions is being able to mentally grind through it. And I think once you learn how to do that, it becomes somewhat easier for you to adapt to the conditions. But yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's definitely all on your mindset. If you're going into that day and you're this is going to be terrible, it's windy, I'm not going to score well, you're not going to score well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really hard, mindset to get in because it really is frustrating when it's so windy and it's it's just not getting better and you're hitting these good shots, but they're not ending up in good places because of the wind, and you have to pretty much be hitting the ball, I feel perfectly, almost, especially when it's that windy. So you just have to know, you're going to have a bad shot. You're going to have a bad hole. like that's just how golf is. So, yeah.
When you think back, obviously you grew up in this area. You grew up a few minutes from me up in the northern suburbs. Either from home growing up or from the ones you've played so far in high school and college golf, any favorite courses that really stand out in your mind to play?
This past summer I played at Prairie Landing. It's kind of a similar course to Metamora, but yeah, I really like that course. Nothing else is coming to mind right now, but yeah.
I'm trying to think of the courses I've played in Illinois. I've played some really awesome courses outside of Illinois.
Wherever. Whatever your favorite is.
My favorite that we've probably played last year over spring break, we got to go to Desert Mountain in Arizona, not California. We did play at some courses in California, though, and they were really pretty. And we were so fortunate that we got to go there. It was great. One of the alumni, he actually came out to watch us this weekend, was fortunate to let us play at the course. It's made up of 7 different courses, I want to say, and it was so beautiful. Just a really pretty course, lots of wildlife. We played on a day that it was actually kind of cold and rainy, which is not how Arizona typically is, but it was still fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than 110 and sunny and
Right,
miserable,
right,
so
right.
I think we can say
Yes,
that.
yes, yeah.
So obviously getting close to wrapping up the first fall portion of your first season here at Wesleyan. As you look back over the last couple of years, Gigi, looking at, started that college decision process, where do I want to go for school, where do I want to play golf, what ultimately led you here?
Yeah, so I would say the distance from my family and stuff. I'm a family-oriented person, so definitely like staying somewhat close. But also like the team atmosphere and the coaches, really like I could see that right away. Just like the dynamic and the team culture and everything. Like I felt that when I visited, just like how strong and close everyone was. And I was really looking for like that in a team. Just being able to bond with them and rely on them and stuff. So. Yeah.
And looking back now on 3.5 years, or to talk about Gigi staying close to home, you're a little closer.
Yes, yep.
But looking back, any favorite memories that really stand out to you for your first 3+ years?
I mean, it's all been amazing. I love being on the golf team. It is such a great, I love golf, and I love all the people on the team. It's also a great break from school. School is challenging, so it's nice to have an outlet to go somewhere where I know that I'm going to be supported. For favorite memory, I'm trying to think. I mean, recently my dad started to help with coaching, and I love having him as a coach. It's great. I'm very fortunate that I get to experience that. Just all of just everything we do that's just not on the course, but we do as a team together, is also just a great experience as well. I mean, we've made some really great friends, lifelong friends through it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of those fun trips coming up as you guys kind of wrap up the fall schedule, heading down to the Golf Week October Classic, Sandestin Golf Resort. Flying out Thursday, Gigi said, and playing Sunday through Tuesday. Is that a place you've played before? Is that a course you've played before? I can't remember.
I've never been on the Florida trip. This will be my first year. I want to say we are switching courses. I think last year the course they played was really difficult, and I just remember reading texts about it in the our group thread. So I'm pretty sure it's a new course. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost positive it is. Okay. So, yeah.
Any particular off-the-course plans this weekend, or is it just kind of play it by ear and see what happens?
Play it by ear and, I don't know, just have fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Love it. Very nice. Well, good luck, ladies. Congrats once again on a phenomenal weekend, both individually and bringing home another CCW team title. And, of course, most importantly in many ways, getting that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament this spring. Very exciting to keep that legacy going. And good luck to you both in Florida this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.